Hey everyone, welcome back to Arguing with a Droid, aka ChatGPT. I had so much fun making the last video that I'm not going to wait until next week to do another one. So today we are going to go ahead and do the follow-up to our last video, which was about Anakin versus Obi-Wan, if Anakin had beaten Obi-Wan in the battle on Mustafar. So at the very end, we left off with this question of, want me to sketch out how Luke and Leia's lives play out in this timeline? I think that's where it gets even more disturbing. That was the end offering that the droid made us for what the next step could look like. So today, instead of using ChatGPT 5, we're going to go 4.0 and see if it gives us maybe some spicier takes. So let's jump right in. In this timeline, Luke and Leia are basically raised by their father, and according to the droid, which I heartily disagree with, Padme as well. I think Padme still would have died, even that's the one thing I just couldn't be convinced of, is that Padme survives even if Anakin hadn't, been cut to pieces. I think she still would have died from heartbreak. So, other than that, though, in this timeline, GPT is assuming Padme will survive and basically become the Empress, and she and Anakin will raise Luke and Leia. And then down here at the bottom, it says, want me to sketch out how Luke and Leia's lives play out in this timeline. I think that's where it gets even more disturbing. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually toggle this to GPT 4.0. I think it'll be a little spicier. I did run this through. I ran it through 5, so we're going to do 4.0 instead. I just said, yes, let's hear the disturbing take about Luke and Leia in this new timeline. So let's see what 4.0 says. All right, brace yourself. This one's not tragic like canon. It's eerie, quiet, and unbreakable. Yeah, GPT 4.0 is way more dramatic. Luke and Leia, heirs of the flame. Well, that's a title, isn't it? In this timeline, Padme survives childbirth. Ooh, you know what I hadn't thought about, though? Well, he hadn't learned the skill, but I wonder if Palpatine would have helped save Padme if Anakin had defeated Obi-Wan and they would have made it to her side in time. I'm not sure, but anyway, the twins are not hidden. There's no Bail Organa, no Owen and Beru, no twin sons. The children are raised within the new Imperial Palace beneath the watchful eyes of two parents. One idealistic and eroding, Padme, and one messianic and absolute, Anakin. This is not about broken Vader clinging to power. This is a fully realized Sith Emperor, young, charismatic, and utterly convinced that he is the galaxy's savior. Think less Monster in a Mask and more Alexander the Great with a lightsaber. It's a great analogy. So again, just as a reminder, at this point, Vader has killed Palpatine. So it says, and into that crucible, Luke and Leia are forged. Leia, the blade in velvet. Yeah, okay. Leia becomes the public face of the regime by the time she's a teenager. She inherits her mother's grace, her father's fire, and neither of their doubt. Well, that's interesting. Trained in diplomacy, propaganda, and subtle force persuasion, calm, poised, and adored by the public, ruthless beneath it all. So, I don't know. I guess in my timeline, I was imagining Vader just like ruthlessly teaching both their kids total power, but it seems like they're assuming, it seems like the droid is assuming that with Leia, what is it, because she's a woman, that they're going to raise her to be more of a diplomat? Like, it doesn't matter. They live in an autocracy, so I don't know why that would matter at all to the Emperor and the Empress, and also GPT 4.0, how sexist. Her version of justice is swift and surgical. Dissidents don't scream, they disappear. Not because she's cruel, but because she believes in the mission. She doesn't think she's evil. She thinks she's saving the galaxy from chaos, and she's good at it. The tragedy isn't what she does, it's that she never questions why. Ooh, that is a tragedy, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Luke, the hidden fire. Luke, by contrast, is raised for power. Yeah, I agree with that. No moisture farm, no innocence. He trains in the dark arts by age 7. By 15, he's outpacing his father in certain aspects of the Force. I don't know. Like, Luke in the Legends absolutely becomes godlike in his power. I'm thinking of the Fate of the Jedi series in Legends, which we should have gotten that Luke in the Disney movies, but we did not, did we? We got a blue milk eating or drinking hermit, which was so disappointing. But it says, here's the twist: he feels the pull of the light, not because he's good, but because he hates control. He resists being shaped into a weapon, and that resentment festers. He doesn't rebel in the open. He goes inward, quietly develops his own interpretations of the Force. Starts visiting ancient Jedi ruins in secret, learns not to oppose the dark, but to absorb it, transcend it. By 20, he's no longer a Sith, he's something else. You might think this is where redemption kicks in, but no. Luke doesn't save the galaxy, he retreats from it, he vanishes. Okay, hold on a second. Another vanishing Luke? I'm disappointed. And that becomes the ghost story of the galaxy, the Imperial Prince born of fire, swallowed by shadow. Okay, no, absolutely not. I am not letting... No, GPT, you are taking way too much inspiration from Disney here. Like, this is basically just another version of Rian Johnson's Star Wars, and I can't let this stand. No, absolutely not. Also, I just don't know how he would feel the pull from the light if he was raised by his father. I just don't know. Like, and I don't think that he would rival Anakin. Certainly, if Anakin was the chosen one, Luke would become very powerful. There's no doubt, being in the Skywalker bloodline, but I don't think that Luke inherits the fullness of his father's power, even though in Legends he does become almost godlike. The Long Night. The galaxy doesn't get rebels, it gets silence. No Death Star to rally against, no Alderaan to mourn, just the slow clinical extinction of opposition until hope itself becomes an artifact. Palpatine dreamed of empire but seeded rebellion. True. Anakin wins, and no one even remembers how to want freedom. Leia keeps order. Luke walks between worlds. Padme fades from view, a living monument to what might have been. And the Force, it sleeps. Okay, it says, want to follow Luke into exile next. There's something strange stirring out there, something older than Jedi or Sith. Okay, no, actually, we're not making a video on that because I think that's utterly stupid, GPT. No. What are you, a baboon? No, this is not how we honor Luke, I mean, at least have him fight his father, Like, even if we don't get victory, at least have him desire to overthrow his father in classic Sith fashion, That would be an epic... I mean, imagine if we got... Well, of course, we did get Luke versus Vader in, The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, but imagine if we got Luke versus Vader, but not the Vader that was in the suit. Like, imagine that fight. That'd be totally epic. So anyway, you all remember, like and subscribe, and please let me know below, what do you think about this next step in arguing with the droid? I mean, in this particular timeline, what do you agree with? What do you disagree with? I've offered you my thoughts. Anything you think that the droid got right or wrong, anything you think I got right or wrong, please let me know below. And in general, I'd just love to hear your thoughts on this content. And I look forward to next time. As always, may the Force be with you.